reports like this trickling in now. What are we going to do today for our kids? That's what I want to talk about.
Let me ask you this question. We're talking to Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors. There is a term that we hear people say almost, I think it's almost reflexively, almost in this kind of an axiomatic patellar response, and that is the terms radicalization, used normally in terms of or in conjunction with social media or media in general. What do you think of this notion of radicalization, or what does that mean, and can anything be done regarding it?
First of all, let us all say something can always be done about everything, and it starts with talking about it. It sounds very simplistic, raising awareness. Because most of what we do at the Warriors, when we talk about it, people will constantly say, I never heard about that. I don't know about that. So it is our job to, on a daily basis, talk about these things. And let's talk about this radicalization. We've been hearing this word especially a lot in the past week surrounding Charlie Kirk. It is indeed happening, this radicalization. Let me break it down for you. The internet and social media, and everybody needs to know by now, play in this entire youth mental health crisis, okay? There is a correlation, and there are various studies to back everything I'm saying up, between excessive social media use and higher rates of depression, anxiety, poor sleep quality in teens, and I could go on and on. Now it's trickling out, we believe, since that isolation period, that COVID period, where kids were stuck at home in lockdowns, and everybody was forced to go online. So the kids are online, spending upwards of, well, at that time, 12 to 20 hours a day. Now, today, 2025, we have kids spending 9 to 12 hours a day on the internet. So what happened? Let's go back to that lockdown period. The kids then, remember this 5 years ago, 4 years ago, they're all online. Wherever the kids are, so are the predators, okay? With this came these chat rooms. With this came Discord. We're hearing Discord, that word, a lot this week.
What is Discord?
That is a messaging app, everybody. We had that on our 2024 National Center on Sexual Exploitation. It was one of our Dirty Dozen lists. We call out 12 entities every year because there's so much predation and radicalization. And what happened? And we're seeing this with our young boys and men, and I want everybody to listen up. Again, backed up by studies, everything I am saying. Boys feeling very disillusioned, feeling very lost in our country, turning to these chat rooms, Reddit, Discord, and feeling like they have friends, feeling like they're part of a group. And with that came these ugly criminal predators who have taken their young, vulnerable minds and make them feel welcome, but they're teaching them horrible, awful things, whether it's turning on themselves, their family members, turning on culture, society, which we're seeing playing out with a lot of these shootings right now in schools and otherwise with Charlie Kirk. And we have to do better by everybody, but especially our boys and young men right now. We cannot have this. Their depression stemming from COVID is really playing out now 4 or 5 years later in society. And you know what? It's increasing. We're seeing the kids, especially the boys, joining these groups and becoming radicalized and pushing them. And remember, anybody with underlying mental health issues to start with, and we're saying everybody's depressed pretty much. Everybody has, this isolation fear. They're not being listened to, the kids. Nobody loves them. They're feeling very unloved. They're going to turn to groups, and their minds are going to get twisted, and they're going to go out, and they're going to do something, if not to themselves, in society, and we are seeing that play out right now.
Let me ask something. We're talking to Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors. I don't want to play this game of, when I was a kid, when we were kids. Well, I'm not a kid. We're not a kids. Those days are over. But I happened to harken back to something. I was listening to somebody the other day, and someone speak about, of all things, people in London during World War II. When we were kids, when I remember the Vietnam and Watergate, and there were times, certainly, during the world when we had some pretty serious stuff. I remember one time, believe it or not, Michael Caine said, I'm sorry, Peter O'Toole said he lived in constant fear of Hitler, because he was, of course, born in, he was actually from Ireland, but grew up with this. Now, when they lived in the specter, not only of that, but also in the 50s and Cold War and duck and cover, and I don't know. Maybe it was true, but we just didn't chronicle it. But I don't remember, is it recorded, of this persistent referencing of depression, anxiety. This is too stressful for me. I'm turning inward. Is this a phenomenon that is new or an old phenomenon that's being exacerbated by social media, or a combination of the foregoing, but also just heightened awareness and exaggeration? What do you think?
First of all, apples and oranges. We cannot compare, and I say this every day, we cannot compare 2025 to any other time in history. It is a combination of everything you just talked about. You brought to the forefront. However, the internet, over and over again, look, bottom line, we live in a digital world. It's not going away. We know this. But again, wherever the kids are, so are the predators. We have used it now to replace parents, guardians, all of that. We are seeing play out and becoming just this dystopian. I mean, it's here, with the advent of AI. Yes, we had in past generations, we had all of this, wars, different things like that, always trauma. But today, kids are numb. Let's go back to even the 80s and 90s. This is a whole other program. It became many kids were, let's say, drugged up. Everybody had ADHD. Everybody had anxiety. It was just a slow build. And it got away somehow from the parents. They just went along with doctors, whatever they were told, they did. We are now seeing the effects of all of that, really starting in, I want to say, the 80s into the 90s, coming right up to today. The kids today, and really because of the internet, and everybody is there expressing their opinions, showing videos. I mean, let me say, kids are numb today. They are facing a constant stream of just trauma. They're seeing violence. They have become habituated. It's become normalized. It's part of their world. And I have to point out last week again, because videos were left up there. Charlie Kirk, I will point out especially, kids have been watching this over and over and over again. What do you think happens to that young mind? Some kids can watch it once, walk away, right? Other kids watch it over and over and over again. And other kids will say, gee, I'm feeling like this criminal who did this or something like that. And maybe I'll try something like that. Maybe I'll get attention if I act out like that.
I'm glad you said that.
Maybe I'll be part of the gang, the group, and be accepted if I do something like this.
I'm glad you said that. When I was watching this, and I try my best to put myself into the position of somebody who's reading this, who may not necessarily have the sapience, the sentience, the wisdom, whatever it's called. But if you're looking at this, and you're feeling almost, because let's face it, I think a lot of people can relate to this. When you're of a certain age, you feel almost like a nullity. You're not a baby. You're not an adult. You're kind of stuck. And there may be sometimes cases where people are questioning their sexuality or where they begin. So they look at all this and they're wondering, is this how you get attention? Is this how worth is measured today? Is this it? So if I wear a fuzzy hat or be a fuzzy, or if I question my sexuality, or if I insist upon hard to pronounce pronouns, is that my way of demonstrating my specialty, my specialness, my uniqueness? Or is it lost in this? Because what's so interesting is that, this, I always thought that the social media is almost like, and you and I talked about it, it's the devil's printing press. It's a party line to lunacy. It's like when we were kids, we had a party line. It's MK Ultra or Manchurian Candidate of that's cementing new behaviors in ways and in platforms nobody ever thought possible. Is that too deep or lunacy, or is there anything to that, you think?
Lionel, that's not deep enough. I mean, I want to go back on something. I want to point out, again, I want to keep just like a broken record. I mean, sharing, first of all, again, we have 22% of teenagers, okay? So we have kids 12 to 18 constantly considering suicide in America. Now, again, something with studies, stats, the numbers are always higher. Okay, so even for argument's sake, let's say it's 1 in 5, 1 in 4 kids. Just think about, do the math. Think about all these kids walking around America persistently, not just a fleeting thought, okay, persistently thinking about suicide.
Wow.
That is incredible. We have 54% of our girls thinking constantly, teenage girls, I'm depressed, I'm no good, why am I here? The girls, it's higher for them. So what we have to talk about now is really what role, I'm going to go back to this, the internet and social media, in quotes I put that, because it's basically anti-social media, a play in this crisis. But I want to mention something, and we're seeing it play out in Washington this week. We've got hearings with Kash Patel. The big tech companies, they know all of this is going on. Why does the burden have to, this is not a failure on the parents or a failure on kids. We've just been dealt. This has been thrown at us in society. Big tech has a responsibility to society, seeing all of this and knowing it, because we have Meta whistleblowers. I'm actually off to a press conference this morning with Meta, which is Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, whistleblowers, knowingly Meta, Facebook, promote it. They knew their research, all of this was going on with kids. And you know what they said behind the scenes? The bottom line is more of it, more of it. We need those eyeballs. We need those kids. We'll hook them for life. We've got them addicted. Our advertisers, money, 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 money. And now we see, and basically in a short period of time, what's going on with our youth and all of this happening. It is completely frightening. And now we're sitting here right on the top of AI, artificial intelligence. This is more than a parenting issue. This is an American crisis with our youth. This is something that we need to deal with, and why we don't have, and I don't care if the president demands it, and I don't like to say demand anything, monitor anything. K through 12, we should be having trauma specialists, consultants with our kids in the schools and carving out part of the education system about this youth mental health. Because at the speed it's going now, I can't imagine where we will even be in 5 years. Remember, these are our future American adults and leaders, and we're failing our kids.
Let me pause for 1 second. Please do me a favor. Stop hemming and hawing. Damn it, say something. Have your facts ready. It's like pulling teeth. We're talking to Lynn Shaw from Lynn's Warriors. We're talking about a variety of issues that deal with not only the sexual exploitation and trafficking in children, but digital safety and how our kids are affected by this. What we saw the other night, the other day rather, this wound, this repeated Zapruder back into the left carotid, jugular gushing horrors. Over and over, it does one of two things. It either terrifies, or even worse, it habituates and conditions kids to feeling insensitive about it. We'll return with Lynn Shaw on Lynn's Warriors. Our number is 800-848-9222. We're going to be talking more about this, all with me, Lionel, on the other side of midnight.